out recently on Hacker News, Clash of Technologies, and it's comparing React and Angular 2. So who's familiar with both of those technologies? Who's familiar with React and Angular 2? Just one person? Okay. Who's familiar with Angular 1? Okay. So could you compare Angular to React? What do you think about this?
React is simpler.
React is simpler? Okay.
React is more declarative. It's like
Okay. But how about like passing the state? Like passing the state down the components or like on the same level? Is it simple or is it...
it's similar to functional programming. In my opinion, it resembles that.
But you need something like Redux or Flux in general to manage the state of the app. React, it's not, it doesn't do this for you. And with Angular, we can have it like by definition, but like by default.
Yeah, that's the thing, that actually Angular is forcing you to follow some kind of patterns they actually figure out, so that's the thing.
Exactly. And for example, in React, how do you do like API interaction? It's not really clear where you should put it. And then if you add like something like Redux, people not really know how to plug everything together. With Angular, it's pretty simple. At the same time, React is being said to be more performant, at least out of the box. So they compare here Angular 2, and it's pretty interesting. So they have like this split comparison, and what's really nice is that they write about what's incoming. So for example, they say that Angular 2 is gonna be using TypeScript. Have you heard about TypeScript? Who uses it? Who uses it? Okay, in person. So what else? So there is this idea of Shadow DOM. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Who's familiar? Could you explain? Like in...
So basically, if you play with Polymer, then you have much more to do with Shadow DOM. So Shadow DOM is like the element which belongs to the component, but it's not purely possible to change from the browser when it's used. This is how I understand. So for example, if you have a default video tag and you have at the bottom, you have the play and stuff elements, these things are styled in the Shadow DOM, and from outside usually you can't style it. So this is how I understand it.
Right. It provides you some isolation out of the box, so like you don't have to play with all this weird CSS. You just basically have very small HTML file with just few CSS rules, and you can use it as a widget, which will be supported by browser by default.
So in general, what do you think about Angular 2? Do you think it's a good idea, a good direction for the framework?
Well, like for me, I prefer smaller libraries and the possibility to assemble few different tools together as I need, instead of just, because in the past I always was following the big framework which was providing everything out of the box, and always at every project there was some moment when I was like, I'm just hitting the wall because the framework is not ready for what I'm needing, because the project is always getting more and more demanding, and when you're using smaller tools, you can always throw out something and write, and if you need something very specific, you can write it for yourself, and you don't have to fight so much with the whole big monster. You just have small tools and you can plug it in.
Yeah, that's actually true. At some point you start hacking the frameworks.
Yeah. Exactly. When you have a big framework, you have a big boost in the beginning, but if you upscale, then you are really having a problem. It's like, it's like Rails stuff.
Yeah.
If you are doing a very regular app, the Rails are amazing. But if the app is very complex and custom, then people are going back to Sinatra, which is simpler.
Do you think it's the case for Angular? Is it easy for the beginners, for the beginning, and then it becomes complicated when you want to...
Yeah, big frameworks are nice for like hackathon, or like you need to build a prototype in a week. That's perfect. But if you're thinking about running a project for half a year, that you will have some point when you will like regret that you followed
And do you know the story behind Angular? The idea was that it was created only to prototype for designers, like for people who would like to prototype, and it evolved like naturally. And there was some kind of problems inherited along the way. Another nice thing about this comparison is that they talk about where is it? About how the framework interacts with the DOM. So in case of React we have virtual DOM, and in the case of Angular 2, if I understood correctly, they will improve dirty checking, this loop of... do you know how Angular works under hood?
Yeah.
Someone could explain, maybe?
Well, basically, every time there is an event like click on a button that runs some, for example, changes the value in the model, then the scope where the value is digested. So basically, Angular checks if any of the values have changed, and if it has, then it updates the DOM accordingly. And it also, if we, for example, set a watcher on a given value, so that a function that fires every time there is a change, then it also fires those functions, and then it checks if the watchers, because the watchers might have changed some functions models again, so it runs the checking again, and as long as there are some changes still, it runs the rechecking.
Great, thanks. And do you know if there is kind of mechanism like the Angular 2? Yeah, there's a limit, but is it possible to batch updates? So, for example, you can squeeze like different updates into 60 frames of display, because display is the frame rate, animation frame rate in browser has some limits, and with React you can like optimize this, so it's displayed only when it's needed, when the user sees it. So basically, if you do an update and it's more often than the frame rate of a browser, it's wasteful, right?
Angular 1 don't use any virtual DOM to make change of DOM quicker, but Angular 2 support it.
Supports it. Great. So this is very interesting read. I highly recommend it. So another thing I wanted to show you is that.
Can you paste the link to the...
Yeah, I will paste it on the group. And another is that there is this post by, I think, CEO of Automatic, the creators of WordPress, and basically it's pretty recent. It's from today, right? From yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
They said that they rewrote panel admin of WordPress to React. So that's a good, and it powers, according to the numbers, 25% of the web, like the framework which powers the framework, the engine, logging engine. So it's pretty interesting. It means that React is really being adopted fast. So it's a nice read, why they choose it, and like how they built WordPress over those years.
It's huge space for developers. If there is every fifth page on the world, it's like done with WordPress, and then on the background of WordPress we have React.
Exactly.
Imagine how much this technology is needed, or how the developers of this technology are needed. So it's like...
It's really interesting how React is being adopted so fast. It's not the case for Angular, I think. Angular is pretty more enterprise, like it resembles Java. It's a bit bloated in the sense that there's a lot of concepts and people try to understand, and I think not everyone understands everything in the framework because it evolves so fast. And React brings simplicity to the table, which is...
And the learning curve is much different. It's like, if really with 1 hour you can already get the idea of the React because of the JSX, which sometimes people blame it a lot, but in the end it brings you a lot of simplicity. And this is something, I don't remember the name of the guy from last month, But this is what he said, like virtual DOM, it's so abstracted, so most of, or some of the React developers don't even know it exists. They just write a thing that it seems to be HTML for them, or kind of HTML, and it just works, and this is the huge advantage. Right?
Exactly. So another post is by people from Meteor, and they it's 6 days. It was 6 days ago, and they are adopting React for this the new engine Blaze. Have you heard about Blaze or? So it's pretty interesting that the view layer will be you could use React for this. So it's there's like a huge ecosystem around Meteor, and that would be all, I think. So I hope we will meet next month. The idea is to organize it at 22 of December. Do you like the date? 2 days before. Sorry?
Very close to the...
Yeah.
This is the thing, I think it won't be many people at that time, right? So maybe we should just take a break and have it on January, be prepared for free proper presentations.
Great. So if you have a presentation in mind, don't hesitate. The idea is to keep it under 20-30 minutes max. So we are fresh, and yeah, don't hesitate. And we posted the form for the. So if you want to submit, feel free. Thanks.
Okay.